SADTU has reacted to this announcement by the minister when it comes to the rewriting of those two papers. What is your immediate reaction?
Well, we will wait for the documents. I think the fact that they say they will go to court does not necessarily mean they will. But should they go to court, then we'll have to receive the documents, go through them, and prepare to defend the matter in the courts.
Minister Angie Motshekga was speaking on Friday about the importance of this rewrite, saying that she doesn't want any lingering doubt about the credibility of the matric certificate being under question. Are you confident that, looking at the reaction that you're getting from SADTU and some matric pupils that we've spoken to here in Newsroom Africa saying that they had no access to that paper, they weren't even aware of this leak. Are you confident that this rewrite decision was the correct decision to make?
It was a very difficult decision to arrive at because we were still in the middle of the investigation, but at the same time, we needed to take steps to correct the chaos that has been caused by the leaking of the question papers. There is still no certainty as to the extent of the spread of the leaked question papers. That is what makes the decision very difficult, but it also makes our life very difficult, because if you don't know where it has been, it will be difficult for you to say you will localize the rewrite. You localize it where? Because you have no certainty. There's no evidence to say this is the only place where the paper was leaked. And you therefore need to be careful how you move forward. But we also anticipated that even if we had said that we are going to localize it to a particular area, some people were going to say, why are you leaving others out? So a court action was bound to happen either by organizations or by the candidates themselves. So we felt that the best way forward was to ask for a rewrite, which we didn't want to see happen. But after consulting and also talking to Umalusi, the Quality Assurance Agency, it became clear that a rewrite was the only option that we could go for. So if SADTU goes to court, then we'll have to ventilate the merits of the decision there.
This is a rewrite that learners also didn't want to see happen. And as Newsroom Africa speaking and interacting with a number of grade 12 learners who've spoken about the difficulties that COVID-19 presented this year when it comes to the academic year and the class of 2020. And they were also speaking about some of the challenges that will come with preparation for these two papers. They say that they've already given away and sold textbooks and they really don't have enough time to even study for this paper. What sort of support are schools going to be providing to ensure that the learners are prepared for these two papers?
Well, it's actually not the entire subject on the two papers. Maths paper 2 focuses on a specific area in the subject, as well as physical sciences paper 2 focuses on a specific part of the subject. It's not the entire subject. That's the first point. The second point is that the questions that are going to encounter will come from the same content which they've been taught and which they used to revise several weeks ago. So we believe that with that, they should be able to make it. Yes, it's a difficult one, but schools are there still to support them. And if they need help, we will be there to give them the material that they believe they've lost. But we advise them to use past question papers of the past 5 years, of the last 5 years, as part of their preparations. And if they can do that, then they should be in a position to prepare for the exam again. But there are other candidates who are saying, we appreciate this is going to be a second opportunity at writing this particular subject, because we feel that now that we've already gone through the first part of it, although it was leaked, we are now given another opportunity to be able to improve our marks. So there are also mixed views in terms of how people react to the decision.
With SADTU now saying that they're going to seek this urgent interdict tomorrow to order the department to stop the rewrites. What are some of your concerns when it comes to them launching this initiative? I mean, you did say a short while ago that it was almost preempted that some sort of action or some sort of reaction would come from the unions and others. But, in terms of this process now being put into effect, well, we're hoping to see it, well, waiting to see it tomorrow. What are some of your concerns as a department as this process gets underway?
Yeah, there's a huge risk regarding this court case by SADTU. And the risk is that if there were not to be a rewrite and we go through with the examination and we put together, finalize, we go to Mahlangu says, no, we can't attach a signature on these results because we don't believe that they were fair, credible, and that the integrity was maintained. As a result of that, we are not approving that they should release this result. That will throw the whole country into chaos that has never been seen before. It would mean that there would have to be a rewrite at a later stage, and that would be next year, sometime in January or February, when that type of decision is made. And it would have thrown the whole program of basic education into untold confusion, because we would have left it too late to fix that which we could have fixed much earlier. So Mahlangu has the final say on whether the results are credible or not, and whether the department can release them and issue the statement of results to the candidates. So you run the risk of going to that as well. That's why we do not believe that the court action by SADTU will succeed in the courts, because when we look at the regulations, we look at the implications of the whole decision to rewrite, we believe we're on the right track. But if anyone were to oppose it, you would really have to work very hard to convince the courts that your suggestions are better than the position that has been adopted by the department. But the other matter is that we are still speculating. They have not been to court. We haven't seen their papers, so we don't really know what their case is.
And very lastly, Elijah, before we let you go, as we learn more about how this process took place, the leaking of the paper, we know that the Hawks have already made an arrest. But we also have learned that it's emerged that most of the 195 matric pupils found to have had access to these papers, Maths Paper 2, before it was written, were top maths pupils from across South Africa who had been tutored by Stellenbosch University. Is that an area of concern for you when it comes to that quantity, that huge number of learners and, the sort of tutoring they were getting?
Well, it's a concern in that you have a large number of learners in one WhatsApp group, but that's not the only WhatsApp group. There were many other WhatsApp groups as well. And let's make this clear that the question papers were leaked and they landed in WhatsApp groups. So those WhatsApp groups does not necessarily mean that they are responsible for the leak. The investigation is still ongoing, but there are various WhatsApp groups that actually had the leaked question papers before it was written. So that is just one group. I think what is attracting interest to this group is that it was a group of top achievers. But the main problem here is the source of the leak. Where did it come from? How did it land in that WhatsApp group? That's what we are focusing our resources on, because we want to establish exactly where the weaknesses have been so that we can close those loopholes that could have made it possible for some people or a person to leak a question paper.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time, Elijah Mahlangu. They're speaking for the Basic Education Department about SADTU, now saying that they will be seeking an urgent interdict tomorrow to order the department to stop the rewrites of those two papers, maths and physical science.